So let's take a look at something we call intercepts. And you can think that intercepts are like intersects. So here I have an equation, and it crosses here on the x-axis where x is a. Well, hey, notice, this is where it intersects the x-axis, where it crosses the x-axis. And what I notice when I'm crossing the x-axis is that y is 0. I don't go up or down at all when I'm sitting on the x-axis. So the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis, and it's where y equals 0. The same thing happens for the y-intercept. Here's my y-intercept. In this case, I call it b. And the y-intercept is where I cross the y-axis. And what I notice is that when I'm sitting anywhere on the y-axis, I don't have an x value that goes up or down. It's just 0. So the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and my x value equals 0. So how can we use this to find our intercepts? Well, to find our intercepts, this is what I'm going to do. To find my x and y intercept, so here's an example with an equation. To find my x-intercept, I know that y equals 0. So I'm going to let y equal 0, and I'm going to solve for x. So here, I take my equation, I plugged in 0 for y, I solved it, I got x equals 3. This gave me the point 3, 0. Now, if I want to find my y-intercept, I'll do the same type of thing. I will let x equal 0 and solve for y. So here in my same equation, I substituted 0 for x, I solved for y, and I got y equals 2. So this gives me the point 0, 2. Then you can use those points to graph. Now, one thing to notice is that what I could do is just say, hey, I want to find my y-intercept. That means x is going to be 0. So I'm going to cover up my x. And I have 3y equals 6. Solve that, and I got y was equal to 2. If I wanted to find my x-intercept, I'm just going to cover up the y and say 2x equals 6. And then I solve that, and I find x equals 3, and that's my x-intercept. That's another way that I can solve this when I am just in standard form. The method I just showed you will not work in slope-intercept form, although substituting the zeros in will. So we can use our x and y intercepts to help us graph. So here I have an equation. It's in standard form, 2x plus y equals 2. So I say graph the equation. The easiest points to use are when things are 0, because those are the easiest points. So I'm going to find my y-intercept. I let x equal 0. I solve that. If x is 0, y is 2. So there is a point, 0, 2. That is my y-intercept point. That means I'm going to cross the y-axis at y is 2, x is 0. Now I'm going to find my x-intercept. I let y equal 0. When y is 0 in this equation, cover that up. Hey, x would be 1. So there is my other point. X is 1, y is 0. So x is 1, y is 0. That is my x-intercept. Plotted the 2 points, connect them, draw arrows at the end of my line, and I am done with that graph. Well, what if I am in slope-intercept form? I can't do that nifty little cover-up thing, but I can still use that x equals 0, y equals 0 method. So to find my y-intercept, I let x equal 0. If I put 0 in here, 2 times 0 gives me 0 plus 6, so y equals 6. So my y-intercept is at 6. My x is 0. I intersect my y-axis at 6. Now I would like to find my x-intercept. I plug y equals 0 in here. Well, if I have 0 is equal to 2 times x plus 6, I solve that. Subtract 6 on both sides. Divide that by 2. Divided by 2, divided by 2. That's going to give me x equals a negative 3. So my x-intercept is negative 3. Notice my y equals 0. Connect the 2 points, draw my lines, there's my graph. So let's say you were given a picture like this and you're asked to find the x and the y intercepts. Well, my x-intercept, again, I remember, is where I cross the x-axis. So I look here, this line crosses my x-axis at a negative 2. So my x-intercept is equal to a -2. I want to find my y-intercept. That's where I cross the y-axis. My y-intercept is right here at a -3. So my y-intercept is a -3. This point would, of course, be -2, 0. This point here would be 0, -3. Now let's take another quick look at what if I had something like this, a vertical line that says x equals 2. Well, what is my x and my y-intercepts? Well, at my x-intercept, where I cross my x-axis, that's easy to see. My x-intercept equals 2. But what about my y-intercept? Well, notice I never cross the y-axis. I never intersect the y-axis. So in this case, my y-intercept, it doesn't exist, or there isn't one. Okay? Because I never cross the y-axis. Same thing holds true for horizontal lines. If I have a horizontal line, I look and I say, well, here, it crosses my y-axis at 1, with the equation y equals 1. So my y-intercept equals 1. But what is my x-intercept? Notice, I never cross the x-axis. So it doesn't exist, or you can say there isn't one. I don't have an x-intercept. It doesn't cross the x-axis.